Congressman Ro Khanna calling on President Trump to testify before the House Oversight Committee after former President Bill Clinton gave his testimony on Friday. Take a listen to what he had to say on Anderson Cooper 360.
It's important that President Clinton showed up, that he answered every question. He didn't plead the Fifth Amendment. It was a civil exchange. And he said he's doing it because he believes in participating in democracy as a citizen. That should be a precedent for Donald Trump to do the same. It's a matter of common sense. Most Americans will say if President Clinton can answer these questions, so should Donald Trump.
That call coming from several Democrats after former President Bill Clinton was deposed on Friday. Even President Trump seemed to acknowledge the precedent that was set, saying he didn't like that Clinton was called.
I don't like seeing him deposed, but, they certainly went after me a lot more than that. I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
As for Clinton, he received praise from both Democrats and Republicans for his cooperation with the Oversight Committee. Here's Committee Chair James Comer and his fellow Republicans directly after the deposition.
This was a long process, and I want to say this was historical. I believe that in the history of Congress, the two highest-ranked officials to ever be deposed by Congress would be President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
I think President Clinton today was quite candid, probably more candid than his attorneys were comfortable with.
He did attempt to respond to every single question asked, even when his attorneys told him to shut up. He kept, going. I think there's agreement, too, on everybody who was here on both sides of the aisle that we want to get to the bottom of this.
Now, Comer says the committee plans to release video of both Bill and Hillary Clinton's depositions, along with the transcripts.
But not everyone was happy with Clinton's testimony. Representative Lauren Boebert wrote on X on Friday, former President Bill Clinton says he knows nothing and saw nothing. Right. The gaslighting is top shelf. Slick Willie's at it again. Okay, that post comes after Boebert again came under fire for leaking a photo from inside the deposition. Boebert initially leaked a photo of Hillary Clinton during a break in her testimony Thursday, which prompted a pause in the deposition and a condemnation from the former Secretary of State. But despite the pushback, the Colorado Congresswoman did it again, leaking another photo of the former president smiling during his deposition on Friday. And when asked about it, Chair Comer said he plans to speak with House leadership about those incidents. You know what I'm going to say.
I know. But
I mean, I haven't read the transcript, so I don't know exactly what came out of it. And they were happy with Clinton. The Republicans were. So I don't know what that means. I expect he doesn't have any information to share. And he explained again that he really only knew Epstein way before anything relevant and had cut off contact with him by the time his crimes came to light. Said he didn't know anything about him. I too consider Bill Clinton to be the Slick Willie type character. So would I necessarily put it past him to, misrepresent? Obviously, Clinton has his own history of scandal related to sexual misconduct, which I mentioned last week. But that has nothing to do with Epstein as far as there's no evidence that he has anything out of place with Epstein. And I frankly agree with Trump. And I think Ro Khanna gives away the game a little bit when he's like, well, now that we got Clinton, who said nothing of interest, now we can get Trump. That's the real thing. Why do MAGA or America First conservative people who are still bought into this Epstein files malarkey? I don't know why you people can't see that this is a Democratic-led effort to dig up dirt on Trump when there isn't any. But when there's smoke, there's fire. To create the appearance of some impropriety regarding Trump and Epstein when there is none. And that's what they're trying to do with Clinton and why we should have never allowed this in the first place. And I think James Comer is the biggest laughingstock member of Congress on the Republican side, personally.
So I have a different perspective because I think when you look at what James Comer is doing, I thought that it should be all or nothing. So if you're going to ask Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton to testify, Trump should also be deposed.
Well, exactly. That's why we shouldn't have done this.
But we're here, and transparency was the call and the name of this investigation. And in the name of transparency is why I think Massey and Khanna are doing this. So if that's the case, everyone should now be deposed. We're already here. So Trump should give his official statement. I think when they said they might also have Lutnick testify, that shows you that they're going across both sides of the aisle. It's not a witch hunt where they're just pointing to one. So why should that be a problem? Everyone can fully exonerate themselves, to use a quote from President Trump, as he feels so exonerated in this case. Just simply speak to these people behind closed doors, release the transcript to the American public, release the rest of the 2 million plus files that the American public still hasn't seen, and put this particular investigation to bed. And if there's nothing else there, then there truly can be nothing else there. But you're arguing against the current.
Comer's the master of finding nothing. I wish it was otherwise, but he led the effort to find corruption in the Bidens.
But you are arguing against the current
things, and then presenting no clear and convincing evidence that that Joe Biden was aware of what Hunter Biden was doing and trying to profit from it, despite what he said.
The point is, you're arguing against the current. We now have a law in place that all these files must be released. And I think that there are some people who may be bad actors throughout it. Now, let me finish. There are some people that might be bad actors that might be frustrated with the process because they want to see people like Bill Clinton or Trump exposed. And then there are other people that support, just because anything that could be attached to their name, which we know is just a call up to the FBI of a suggested tip that has no corroboration. They want to see all that exposed. But there are other people who actually genuinely care about the victims. And I think Khanna and Thomas Massie are those people. So every time we try to paint them with a broad brush and say that they really don't care, they have some political vendetta, it doesn't make sense, because there are people who still want to hear from President Trump. There are people who wanted to hear from Bill Clinton because we saw pictures, because we want an understanding, because people want accountability to be universal. And if there's no connection outside of, okay, he came to my daughter's wedding, then so be it. But just explain that to the people that you were the leader of for so many years. I don't think that's a hard thing to ask. If people want to know what your association was, explain that it was nothing more than whatever it was, a friendly association with somebody who morally, perhaps I shouldn't have been around after 2008, but
weren't. Neither Clinton nor Trump were around him.
Right.
At that point.
That's what I said. If that's all you have to explain, then just explain that and be done with it. It shouldn't frustrate you that people are asked by the American people that they represent to just say these things on record so we can understand and see what the relationship was.
But it's not even being friends with him is not it may be a moral failing, but it's not a crime, and it's not a legitimate area of inquiry for Congress. So even if the answer was otherwise, I'm not sure why they're bothering to look into this.
Well, now that we got Bill and Hillary Clinton, are we supposed to leave Trump out of the equation? Then that looks biased.
Yeah, this is why we shouldn't have done this. This is exactly what I'm saying. See, it is a Democratic scheme to investigate Donald Trump that Republicans keep falling for.
This was initiated and ignited by the MAGA base, by Pam Bondi and others. This cannot be a long scheme that was only orchestrated by Democrats. It makes no sense. But we're here with the information we have, and people are pressing for more answers in the ways that they are.
Democrat scheme.
No, that's just easy to say.
And if you don't see it, Republican members of Congress, you've got a paper bag over your head. Next up, Paramount could potentially acquire Warner Brothers, and employees at CNN are reportedly anxious about what that could mean for the network. We'll be right back after this.